Good morning. Welcome to Theodore Parker Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Ruth Kahn. I've been a member of this church since 2016, and I am thrilled to be with you this morning. As we enter into worship, we bring with us all the sorrows and joys of our week, and we know that we are held in loving community. Here we are reminded that we are part of something larger than ourselves. Here we seek to counter oppression, to work for healing and justice in a bruised and broken world. Here we invite all of you to bring your perspectives, your beliefs and doubts, and all that is unique and wondrous about you to our service. In the spirit of love, all are welcome here. For those joining us in person, a few things you may want to know. You can use the QR in your pew to pull up the order of service on your device, or take one of the large print copies available at either entrance. Our service is being recorded today and will be available later on YouTube. If you would like to have a joy or concern shared with the congregation during our meditation and prayer, we invite you to fill out a prayer card anytime before our meditation hymn on the table to your right. You may also light a silent prayer candle at any time during our worship service. People of all ages are welcome to move about the sanctuary as they need to, or to make themselves comfortable in the cozy zone in front of the pews. We also have childcare available for children who are under 4 in the nursery located in our parish hall. And today, children are invited to be with us during the whole service. If you are new to Theodore Parker Church or are visiting today, we'd love to stay in touch. You are warmly invited to fill out a connection card, which you will find in either your pew or in the Zoom chat if you are joining us online. We'd like to take a moment to greet each other. I invite us to give the folks on Zoom a big wave. If you're joining us online, please post a hello in the chat. If you're physically in the sanctuary, we invite you to greet one another. I invite us to be seated as Jonathan shares our prelude, The Nearness of You by Hoagie Carmichael.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Heather Concannon, and my pronouns are she, her, and I'm the minister of this congregation, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to Theodore Parker Church, where we are celebrating the blessing of the animals this morning. And these opening words are from Ian Riddle. Come hoof and trunk and tail and horn and paw and wing and claw. Come bird and reptile, mammal born, all full of nature's law. Bring bark and crow and ribbit too, and silent stare and hiss. Bring purr and trill and warble too, and voice no ear can miss. We gather here each life and all to celebrate and sing, to honor creatures large and small, 'tis holiness we bring. And this is Sparrow. She's joining us in worship this morning, as are a couple of your beloveds I've seen. I invite us to rise in body and spirit to join in our opening hymn, number 38, Morning Has Broken. It's in your gray hymnal, and the lyrics will be on the screen.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, falling from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
Please join me now in lighting our flaming chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism. Each week when we light our chalice, we say words of shared covenant that bind our community together. These words we say in English and in Spanish. The Spanish is in honor of our sibling community in Plazuelas, El Salvador. I'm going to invite up Ave and Shiley to light our chalice this morning. And the words for our chalicing will be up on your screen. Please say them with me. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es nuestra oración. Esta es nuestra gran promesa, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros.
Good morning again. So this morning, as I mentioned, we are celebrating the blessing of the animals here at Theodore Parker Church, a service that we have celebrated many times before at this congregation and that many other congregations celebrate as well. And traditionally, blessing of the animals services are held in early October near the feast of St. Francis of Assisi, which was yesterday on October 4th. And St. Francis is the Catholic patron saint of animals, and his message of connection to the natural world and to animals is one that resonates deeply with me and with many Unitarian Universalists. And so whether or not you share a home with animals, I think many people find a profound sense of spirituality in connection with living creatures, large and small. They can offer us so many gifts, and today is an opportunity to celebrate those gifts. They can remind us to be present in the moment. They can teach us about love and loss. They can teach us about boundaries. Have you ever tried to pet a cat who does not want to be pet? They can teach us about steadfast companionship and trust and nurturing and awe and connection. And whether we encounter an animal just once in the woods or we spend our years and years sharing a home with them, these connections can be profound, and the relationships and the lessons can be profound and diverse and beautiful. So today in our service, we will hear reflections and readings, and we have an opportunity to bless the animals in our lives and our relationships with them, whatever they might be. Whether you brought an animal with you today, or whether you brought a stuffed animal, or whether you have a picture, we are here to bless them. And Rose is going to start us with a message for all ages.
Thank you. My name is Rose. I serve as this congregation's religious educator. So good to be with you all this morning, one of our multi-generational services. And I'm excited to see at least a few critters and friends and stuffed animals with us for blessing this morning. So during the service, we often spend a lot of time, we focus on our beloved pets. These are animals that we share our lives with, and they're very much worth celebrating. But I wanted to give a little space, a little moment in the sun for some of the other animals that we share our homes with. And not necessarily, hopefully not our physical homes, but there are a lot of animals who live in our neighborhoods, right alongside of us, who we see, interact with, or at least appreciate from a distance every day. What are some of the animals you see in your neighborhoods? Chipmunks, rabbits, squirrels, bees, so many. I'm actually having trouble hearing because you all have so many wonderful animals to contribute. Possums. I was thinking about turkeys, coyotes sometimes, raccoons, rats sometimes, yeah, Chickens for those of us who happen to have chickens in our backyard, yeah. Coyotes, yeah. So many. Okay, so we have all these ideas of wonderful animals that we share our neighborhoods with. I'm going to invite you all into a little bit of imagining, okay? A little space for imagining and meditation. You might want to close your eyes or soften your gaze. Just enter this moment of imagining with me. I'm going to invite you to pick one of the animals that we just named or that came to mind for you. Think about the chipmunk, or the robin, or the squirrel, or the possum that you know is in your neighborhood. Think about just one of those animals. Now, let's try to imagine that we ourselves are that type of animal that we picked out. That we ourselves are living in the streets, yards, trees of our neighborhood. Imagine that you, as that animal, just woke up on a bright, warm, early fall morning, much like this morning. What does the home that you woke up in look like? Maybe it's a nest in a tree or a hole in the ground. What does your family look like? Maybe you have siblings that you bicker with or children that you take care of. What are you having for breakfast this morning? And how do you find it? What might you be thinking about, preparing for, and doing for fun on an early fall day? You can sit in that imagining just for this moment. I invite you now to turn your attention back to this room, to where we are here together. As we do so, I invite you to hold on to anything that you noticed about the life of that animal creature in your neighborhood. And maybe next time you see a bunny or a blue jay or any of the animals that we imagined, you can take a minute to say hello. Greet them like you might any other neighbor. And remember the wonder, the imagining of living right alongside all of these wild beings. Thank you all.
So friends, I'm going to invite us to continue in a contemplative and meditative space as we move toward sharing what joys and sorrows are on our hearts. And if you're here in the sanctuary this morning and you would like to fill out a prayer card before our centering hymn, you can do so now. And if you're joining us on Zoom and would like to have a joy or a concern shared, I invite you to type that into the chat now. As we deepen into the space of meditation and prayer, I invite us to enter into this moment, here and now. Take a few nurturing breaths and find a space of stillness within you. I invite us to remain seated as we sing our centering hymn, Sanctuary. Stency will lead us, and the words will be on the screen.
Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy and love right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary anew. Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through. In thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary anew. Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary anew.
Our joys and concern this morning include, from Avelina, a joy for Mina, her beloved dog. I hope she has a good time in heaven. And a sorrow that she was with me. Avelina writes, she was with me my whole life, and I miss her. A joy from Allison G. In celebration of the life of Jane Goodall, who gave the world so much knowledge of the intelligence of chimps and primates and how much they are like humans. A joy from Jennifer Johnson. My dear friend Krista was returned home from the hospital after a 3-week stay. From Naftali, a joy for being 1 year older. Happy birthday. I'm happy for being alive and to be able to enjoy it with my loved ones. Sorrow from Susan. Prayers for our beloved cousin, Laura Jo, who found out on Monday that after 8 years, her breast cancer has metastasized. Joy from Mary Boyle. Gratitude to the people who joined the flotilla to bring food and awareness of Gaza's suffering. Sorrow from Anonymous. For all the species threatened by human greed. Sorrow from Hans Baker. 65,000 plus dead in Gaza. And the lack of media honesty. Another anonymous prayer. Joy to 30 years of working at a local university. And sorrow being laid off from that job due to federal cutbacks at that local university. For Marcia Feldman, today happens to be Adam Feldman, her husband's, and my 28th anniversary. And Jonathan happens to have played our first dance song to open the service. What are the chances? Marcia lights a candle of gratitude for their loving marriage. And Ashley shares joy for a wonderful weekend in Maine. For all of these joys and sorrows, and for those that remain unspoken in the sanctuary of our hearts, we light one final candle. Let us join together in a space of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, Spirit that connects each of us with all other living beings. Today we honor that connection. We bring our attention, our devotion to it. Today, while we feel the impact of our wider world keenly in our lives, while we feel the uncertainty, the precarity, the cruelty of this moment, so many who are in power, may we find refuge and comfort in knowing that we are also always a part of a larger ecosystem. May we find refuge in our gratitude, in our love, in our grief, for the animal beings with whom we share our lives. Where we are called to offer care, may we do so with generosity and gentleness. Where we are in need of companionship, may we find it available to us. May we offer it in return. Where we find destruction and exploitation, may we seek to protect and repair. When we have encounters with awe, may we remember to take time for reverence. Where we need a reminder of what is most important in this life, may we look around and feel the love of life that is in all beings. Together we rest into several moments of shared silence, followed by our musical meditation.
Each week, we take an offering to sustain the many ministries of our congregation. We give because we believe that we are part of something larger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space, in transformation and in hope, in community and in love. We give because we know that it takes all of us sharing our many gifts to make this space possible, with the faith that together we have more than enough. Links to donate will be in the chat and on the screen, and ushers will be coming around if you wish to give a check or cash. As the choir shares all creatures in the earth and sky, and offerings to sustain this congregation will be gratefully received.
Our first reading this morning is called God Got a Dog by Cynthia Ryland. Maybe it's that one. God got a dog. She never meant to. She liked dogs. She'd liked them ever since she was a kid, but she didn't think she had time for a dog now. She was always working, and dogs needed so much attention. God didn't know if she could take being needed by one more thing. But she saw this dog out by the tracks. It was hungry and cold and lonely. And God realized she'd made that dog somehow. Somehow she was responsible. Though she knew logically that she only set one world on its course, had only set the world on its course, she couldn't be blamed for everything. But she saw this dog and she felt bad. So she took it home. She named it Ernie. And now God has somebody keeping her feet warm at night. I'll now invite up Katie Ford to share a reflection.
I am not God, but that was my dog. Her name was Nutmeg Jackson Brown Ford. And I am going to read a letter that I wrote to her that I based on a Globe article that I had read many, many years ago. And Nutmeg was just the perfect dog. Before I get into the letter, she was the perfect dog to have in your 20s. She was a feminist. She was a war protester, a strong Democrat, a wedding guest, and definitely a best friend. So here it goes. All right. Dear Nutmeg, I will never forget that day in April 2004 when we first met. I went to the city shelter in Austin to find a Weimaraner, and I was introduced to a stray called Violet that had just come in from Westlake. We were the perfect fit, and I fell hopelessly in love with you. In the 5,000 days since that afternoon, we have been inseparable. Traveled through nearly 40 states together, moved across the country a few times, fell in love with a great guy named Jeff, fetched 500,000 throws, walked thousands of miles, swam in a couple of oceans, won and lost some great campaigns. And throughout, you have shown me sunrises and sunsets that I wouldn't otherwise have seen. You have taught me that snow is a gift, that the pond is there for swimming, not for people, but for the dog, that the coldest winter mornings and the hottest summer days are never as bad as people say. You have introduced me to people, kind people, whom I otherwise wouldn't have met. You have forced me to take time every morning to contemplate the day ahead. You have taught me to slow down, to pause in a field or on a street corner, the journey being just as good as the destination. And the big ruse, which I think you figured out years ago, was that all these walks were meant for you. You have been an anchor in bad times, a ballast amid occasional uncertainty, a dose of humility when things might be going a little too well. You have been a sanctuary, a confidant, and an occasional excuse. You regard it as your personal mission to make me laugh, and you never once said the wrong thing. It's impossible to be in a bad mood around you. You have changed me as a person, a wife, and a mother. So as the clock winds down on a life well lived, I look back at the lessons learned from your calmness and your dignity, lessons of temperance, patience, and compassion that'll guide us to the end. You are a beautiful creature that brings a smile to my face when you cross my mind, and my heart is shattering from the guilt and the selfishness of waiting too long to make this decision. I am so sorry. I was not ready and watched you each day drift closer to death. And as hard as it is, we both know that the journey was better than we could have ever possibly hoped. I love you because you taught me to love, you showed me how to feel loved, and because you love me unconditionally and until the end, until we meet again. Katie.
Thank you, Katie. Our second reading this morning is a selection of 5 brief quotes from groundbreaking anthropologist and naturalist Jane Goodall. As many of you know, Jane Goodall died on Wednesday at the age of 91. She taught the world so much about the relationships between humans and the natural world. Here are her words.
All the time, I was getting closer to animals and nature, and as a result, closer to myself and more in tune with the spiritual power that I felt all around. For those who have experienced the joy of being alone with nature, there is really little need for me to say much more. For those who have not, no words of mine can even describe the powerful, almost mystical knowledge of beauty and eternity that come suddenly and all unexpected.
How healing it was to be back at Gombe again, and by myself with the chimpanzees and their forest. I had left the busy, materialistic world so full of greed and selfishness, and for a little while could feel myself, as in the early days, a part of nature. I felt very much in tune with the chimpanzees, for I was spending time with them not to observe, but simply because I needed their company, undemanding and free of pity.
Any little thing that brings us back into communion with the natural world and the spiritual power that permeates all life will help us to move a little further along the path of human moral and spiritual evolution.
Each one of us matters, has a role to play, and makes a difference. Each one of us must take responsibility for our own lives, and above all, show respect and love for living things around us, especially each other.
If only we can overcome cruelty to human and animal with love and compassion, we shall stand at the threshold of a new era in human, moral, and spiritual evolution.
The number of years that I have shared my home with animals vastly outweighs the number of years that I haven't. Growing up, my mom was a vet tech, and our house always held a rotating menagerie of dogs, cats, gerbils, hamsters, parakeets, and for a time, a free-range rabbit that roamed the first floor and nibbled on fresh branches almost every day and lived to the old age of 13. As an adult, I've mostly shared my home with cats, and on this Blessing of the Animals service, I've been reflecting on the spiritual lessons that I've learned from animals throughout my life. And friends, there are too many of them to choose from, far too many for one brief reflection, and I know that you have many lessons of your own, which we will hear in a few moments, but this morning I wanted to share with you just a short list of 4 spiritual lessons that I have taken from animals in my life. Number 1. Take care of your people. Did you know that cats are secretly socialists? There is a common misperception about cats that they are loners, that dogs are pack animals and cats prefer to be alone. This is not actually true. Cats are solitary hunters, but they form complex colonies, often in the wild, and they raise kittens cooperatively. But most interestingly, they will bring back their prey and share their food with nursing mothers, kittens, injured cats, elderly cats. So if you've ever known a cat who likes to leave you presents, perhaps dead rodents at your doorstep, know this: they have claimed you as one of their own, and they are trying to take care of you because you are a member of their family and they have deemed you to be an incredibly inept and incapable hunter. So take care of your people. Number 2, be in the moment. Often simply being present is enough. I think about the comforting presence of an animal sleeping at the foot of the bed or on the couch. The fact that my cats only ever seem to do the thing that is right in front of them, which is true for a lot of animals, I think. But I was reminded recently of how important the presence of my cats were for me during the pandemic. Spending more time than ever in the same space, their constant, steady companionship, the ever-present animal interruptions on our Zoom screens, how meetings that I was in would just come to a standstill, if only for a moment, when somebody would inadvertently get muted by an animal stepping on their keypad, or a white blur would come across the screen as we would introduce our animals to each other. We had small windows into each other's lives and households in the midst of so much distance. And I felt like these animals were demanding that we pause whatever business we thought we needed to attend to. Pause because they were there. During that time in the world, and now too, I need reminders to be present to what is actually happening in front of me. I need space to feel grounded and connected and in the moment. Let us learn this skill from our animal companions again and again. Be in the moment, be present to one another. Number 3, trust is earned and patience pays off. When I was a child, I spent many, many hours on school vacations and holidays and weekends at the animal hospital where my mom worked. And sometimes I would be given little tasks, cleaning and organizing and filing, but mostly I preferred to spend my time in the cat boarding room. There were a few animals that lived at the hospital full-time, with freedom to roam the premises, and my favorite was Spins. Spins was a young, petite calico cat who was completely blind from an infection at a young age, and she would orient herself to her surrounding by spinning in circles until she bumped into furniture. I loved her. She couldn't really play because she couldn't see the toys, but she would cuddle, and we would spend so many hours hanging out in the cat room, her on my lap, me reading and talking to her while my mom worked. And then years later, maybe 15 years, I was a young adult, and I owned a cat who needed an expensive surgery, and I took him out to my mom's animal hospital in Central Mass because their prices were significantly lower than the city. And some of the women who worked there when I was young were still working there. And we got to chatting, and at one point I said, "Oh, I remember Spins." And they said, "Oh, she's still alive." And I asked if I could see her, and they hesitated, and they said, "Sure," but warned me that she was very cranky these days. And when they brought me to see her, she was a frail old cat, and I reached out my hand to let her sniff me, and without thinking, I scooped her up, and she started purring, and they stared at me, stunned. They said, "She hasn't let anyone do that in years." And I was so moved, remembering the hours and hours that she and I had spent together, and clearly she remembered them somewhere deep inside too. Clearly she and I had had a special connection, more special than I had realized. And years ago, I had earned her trust, and I kept it for life. So strive to be worthy of trust, and trust the people who earn it. Lesson number 4, love is always worth it. The tricky and heartbreaking truth about pets is that we almost always get them expecting that we will outlive them. And most of the time, if I'm honest, I push this reality to the far edges of my mind. But the reality is every animal I have loved and shared my life and my home with, except for the 2 cats I currently have, every one of those animals I have had to say goodbye to. And they become parts of our families, our routines, and we have real and deep relationships with them. And it can hurt so, so much when it's time to say goodbye. And yet, I believe that the love that we share is always worth it. That despite the risk, despite the inevitable eventual loss, the love is always worth it. And I think this extends not just to animals, but to people too, that we love and lose people, and we take risks in opening our hearts again and again, and that the gifts of love and connection and companionship are so profound. And that these twin truths of love and loss intertwined are lessons I learn over and over and over again throughout my life with my relationship with animals, reminding me again and again. And friends, I invite you to call to mind, these are my 4 lessons for today, but I invite you to call to mind what lessons you have learned from animals in your lives. Perhaps it's a pet you have, perhaps it's a bird you've watched out your window, perhaps it's the rabbits you're trying to discourage from eating your garden. And I invite us to turn to a neighbor and just for a minute, share one lesson that you are thinking about from animals in your life. And I invite us to wrap up our brief conversations and come back together. Friends, hello. I didn't even see these friends up here. Friends, may we remember that we are a part of the animal world, that we can learn to be better humans by sharing our world and learning from the animals around us, that the natural world and the creatures we share it with have many lessons for us, and may we receive those gifts with gratitude. So in a moment, I will invite us to come forward if you wish to receive a blessing, and there's many options for blessings today. If you've brought an animal companion with you this morning and you would like me or Rose to bless them, I invite you to bring them forward. And if you've got a representation of an animal friend, perhaps a stuffed animal or a picture or a leash, you can bring that forward with you as well. If you'd like us to bless your relationship with animals in whatever way suits you, you can ask for that, blessing hands that offer gentle pets or feed companions, eyes that witness the beauty of the natural world. And if you're grieving the loss of an animal companion today, I invite you to bring your grieving heart up with you and let us know that you'd like a blessing for grief. And we especially invite you, if you'd like, to light a candle of memory at our candle station right here. If you're joining us on Zoom this morning and you have an animal companion with you wherever you are, I invite you to bless them because we know we can all offer blessings. And if you wish to simply witness and observe the animals among us today, you're very welcome to stay in your pew and soak in the chaos and the cuteness. So for our blessing this morning, we will use water that we collected at our water communion in September as we bless one another and our animals. I invite you to come forward now.
give love and companionship, and may we receive. I'm blessed. We close our time of blessing with these words from Maureen Cloran. For the blessing of animal companions, we give thanks. For the beautiful ones, for those whose fur is silky, whose tails are long, whose feathers are brilliant, or whose voices are splendid, we give thanks. For the frantic ones, the ruts and the hungry, who run for the food bowl, or a pat as though this is life's last possible gift, we give thanks. For the obnoxious ones, the heads that butt against us as we're trying to sleep, the bodies that refuse to learn discretion as they make various gifts, we give thanks. For those who bark and purr and growl and mew, for all who squeak or squawk or snarl or hiss, we give thanks. For the animals unknown to us, those whose niche in life's web is fragile, whose lives are insecure, for all who care for them and wish them well, we give thanks. Blessed are the animals, blessed are the creatures who we live with, who need our care. Blessed are the mammals and reptiles and birds who teach us we are not alone. Blessed are all living things from whom we learn to love. I invite you now to rise and body your spirit for our closing hymn, number 175. We celebrate the web of life.
We celebrate the web of life, its magnitude we sing, for we can see divinity in every living thing. A fragment of the perfect whole in cactus and in quail, as much in tiny barnacle as in the great blue whale. Respect the water, land, and air, which gave all creatures birth. Protect the lives of all that share the glory of the earth.
Thank you. Please be seated. Friends, may all creatures of the earth be blessed with healthy homes and habitats, and may we work for a world that protects the fragile, interdependent web of which we are a part. May the animals we love be blessed as we offer them companionship and care, and may we ourselves be blessed in our relationships with them. May it be so, and amen. I have a few announcements and invitations for today. First of all, if you're joining us online, I invite you to stick around briefly for breakout rooms to say hello to other folks joining us online. If you're joining us in person, I invite you to our coffee hour, which today is a committee fair. Typically, we have a few refreshments right after church. Today, we have a number of committees who have set up tables if you would like to learn more about the various committees and goings-on of the church. Some of the committees are sort of just there to tell you what they do if you want to learn more about what they do. Some of the committees have openings if you want to sign up to do things like run the Zoom during our worship service, for instance. There's spaces to sign up, and you can just ask the committees what their work is about, and they would love to tell you. They also have snacks. I think there's some healthy, friendly competition happening between the committees for snacks, so go check it out. Say hi to folks at the tables. We have a number of other things coming up as well. On the 19th, in 2 weeks, we have a potluck, our first potluck of the year. So please take a look at your weekly email and sign up to bring something, sign up to help out. We would love to see you there. On October 26th, the week after that, we have a Bring a Friend Sunday. So if you know someone in your life who you think could really use a congregation and a community like this one, and you've been meaning to ask them if they want to come but haven't quite thought, oh, I should just really do this, now is the time. Go ahead and invite your friends if you think they would like to join us or are looking for a community like this to join us on the 26th. They're welcome to join anytime, but that one will be specifically geared toward folks who are newer, and I think it'll be a lovely time. Lastly, two more things. Our newcomers gathering. This year we're also starting a newcomers gathering. So if you have started coming to Theodore Parker Church in the last 1 to 2 to 3 years, and you are feeling like you would like to get to know other people who are newer to the congregation as well, we are having a series of newcomers gatherings before worship this year. Our first one will be on November 9th, and we will have some light refreshments. I think it begins at 9 a.m., so put that in your calendar. Lastly, today is the last day to sign up for our trip to Plazuelas, El Salvador to visit our sibling congregation in December. If you have questions about that, see Kit Shaw, Laura Maltby, and Kevin for questions. Is that right? Okay, great. But today is the last day to sign up, so please talk to them if that's been on your mind or you have questions. And lastly, Jonathan will close us out with a piece from Bill Evans.